Hi, how are you? I'm Shane. I'm 53. Oh, what was that? Just gone off in the background.
That's your mistress calling.
Carry on. It always happens when I say I'm 53. It's the 53 detector.
Well, you told me it's your TV license detector.
Yeah.
It's BBC hatred detector now. You told me, when I said, we did our pre-flight checks, you assured me you'd silenced all bleeping devices.
Yeah.
I said it. I went through the checklist. You said, Roger that, Roger.
Yeah. You know what it was though. In my defence, I've got this on my smartphone. I've got a little button on the side, that makes it silent, and mine doesn't work. I have to actually turn it down with the volume control. So, all right, I'm guilty. I ain't going to be able to
don't
defend
try and
myself.
wriggle out of it.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. Frankly.
Oh, I was going to do a really atmospheric start as well. Then where did I get? So yeah, I'm 53 and I'm an Aries. He's Adrian. He's not 53. And I don't know what.
And he's not airy either.
What are you? I reckon you're a Capricorn.
I don't believe in. Is it astrology or astronomy? I always have to stop and think. It's been one of those days.
Be careful, because you're not meant to not believe in the planets and the solar system.
I don't believe we exist. That's about right.
Which is a flat earther.
Well, typical Capricorn, you see, not believing in astronomy.
Yeah.
No, astrology. I got it wrong in the end. It has been one of those days. Oh, I blew that gag. That can be quite funny on occasion.
Go on, what are you?
Are
you a Capricorn?
I don't believe in astrology. Pause. Typical Capricorn.
Yes,
Skeptical.
we got it.
Something like that.
We got it. Yeah.
Well, that's your answer, though. But you got it right, didn't you? Didn't you say Capricorn?
I guessed it.
I am capricious. Well, you know me too well.
It's the horn sticking out your head that gave it away, I'll be honest with you. With no lie. Anyway, just a quick introduction then. This is the Comedy Slab podcast. I'm Shane O'Connor. He's Adrian Lacey. Star signs and ages aside, every week we get together and we grab hold of a comedy by the scruff of the neck. We throw it onto the slab and we scrutinise, we analyse, we criticise, and then we
ostracise. Could have been worse. That's when you cold shoulder an ostrich and refuse to let it into your social group. Get out. Keep your head in the sand.
And then we give it a mark out of 5 each. That gives it an overall mark out of 10. You see, you can't
get much past us when it comes to maths.
When it comes to mathematics. Throughout the show, we'll play 3 clips of the comedy in question, and that's about it, isn't it? Really, I think. Is there anything else to add?
Not really. Guilty as charged.
Then I will add nothing else. I'll tell you what the comedy is for this week in a second. I've got to tell you about what I've been. Just before we started, I just WhatsApped you a picture of my latest kill.
It was actually a malicious communication, I think, as defined by the 2008 Communications Act. So I'll see you in court. It was a coded death threat to me, really, wasn't it?
I just said, don't mess with me. This is the 6th one I've dispatched in the last 24 or 48 hours.
With a picture of your wife.
I went the court case comes up next Wednesday. With a picture of a rodent I've had to dispose of. Non-humanely, I'm afraid. The only reason I say that is because my brother's got problems with mice as well.
Yeah,
and he bought one of those humane traps, where it just kind of coaxes it in and plays it classical music until
that's torture if you don't like classical music. But hey, carry on.
Until it screams for you to stop. Apparently, I've just put this. I'm nothing so sophisticated. Mine's just like a little nipper mousetrap and a blob of Nutella. And it's not even real Nutella. It's the fake version from Aldi.
Oh,
but it's
no.
Still, yeah.
That's even worse.
I know. Last meal, and it's a fake one from Aldi. But there you go. You can't tell the difference. It's fine. But my brother had been doing this with his humane mousetrap, and he said, "Oh, I've caught 13 so far." And I said, "You sure it's not the same one? Just keeps beating you back to the house."
He's got the measure of him now.
He thinks I can outrun old biped over there. I'll sort him out.
Genius.
Oh dear. So yeah, we've had a problem with mice, and the only way, as is so often the case with humans, the only way to deal with an interloper is to kill them. So, so yeah, it's horrible. Actually, it's a horrible thing to do. I must admit, as an animal lover, I hate it, But hey, what are you going to do? They're not eating my Rice Krispies and getting away with it, So
no, exactly. No, it's them or you, really.
Yeah. So there you go. So, and it's the horrible, because it's under the kitchen sink that all the action's happening, and it's that horrible. You're sitting there in the next room.
I'm sorry, that created quite a picture in my mind of all the action in your house happening under the kitchen sink.
All the action in my life goes on under the kitchen sink. I'll be honest with you.
That's not even tragicomic. That's just tragic.
It's in a major way, isn't it? But yeah, so you're sitting there like minding your own business, having a cup of tea, and all of a sudden you just hear, tsh! And then this is like struggle noise. I don't know whether it's like I don't know what it is.
I don't need any detail.
I have to leave it like 15 minutes to just make sure, because I think if they're kind of half dead, then So, but anyway, yeah. So that's been my week. What have you killed this week? Anything?
Only my career, as usual.
Your social life,
social life, sexual life. Yeah, just the usual. Oh, I was having a lovely brunch with a screenwriting friend of mine, and then I was called into work. So I was interrupted mid-avocado, but it's my fault for being so bourgeois as to be a posh calf. It was no greasy spoon, but it was a lovely brunch.
It's a very Cockney thing, isn't it? You walk in and go, here. Avocado. Go on.
Go on, spoil yourself.
What's your screenwriting friend working on?
What am I allowed to talk about that he's working on? Well, what I can say is that he's one of 3 fabulous tutors of a creative writing course I'm part of, just a little 4-week thing, so quite a short term. I'm biased because he's a mate from yesteryear. We met on the first day of our careers at the BBC, and it's actually my BBC birthday on the day this podcast drops.
Oh, is it? How many weeks is that?
How many weeks or how many years?
How many weeks? 70 days, I would have thought, to be honest with you. I was giving you the benefit of the doubt with weeks.
Well, let's just say, yes. I can cheat the figures because I actually spent a few years away from the BBC, but when we first met was actually the mid-80s.
Wow.
So, and now we're in our mid-80s, which is it's quite a feat, isn't it?
Yeah, they are quite a pair of feet, yeah. They are. I'm surprised you can get shoes for those. But
that's actually unriddled something else from today, a bizarre thing. Someone at work, the woman I was sitting next to, Sue, was talking about someone who hates her feet.
She hates her feet?
Or doesn't hate Sue's feet. She hates her own feet.
Yeah.
She sounds very alienated from her own feet. That must be a word for that, mustn't there?
My wife hates feet. So I hate feet, she said. I hate them, yeah.
That's weird.
Which, well, when you consider how talented hers are, I mean, when she can tap dance,
well, yeah,
and, all that sort of stuff. And
I thought I'd heard you two met originally at a foot fetishist convention.
We did, but it was sock night that we went, and it was.
You said no socks, please.
We're British, yeah. For the very shy foot fetishist.
you nearly didn't manage that, but you clung on to it.
You go on a sock night, and you're not as emboldened then. You see, if you don't feel that's just sort of meet toe to toe, as it were. So that's the thing.
Okay.
Is she tall? This woman that hates her feet.
No, I think it's au contraire. Maybe that's the problem. She's too close to them. I think she's quite petite.
I just always think tall women have got very unattractive feet. They're like,
Well, they need bigger feet, don't they, just to stabilise?
Was it Alan Partridge's, like great big hams?
Well, that's ruined your love life with taller ladies.
Well, I think my wife would probably have something to say about it anyway.
She probably would, yeah.
So it's all for the best, isn't it?
In this best of all possible worlds. Anyway, shall we move to the comedy? Swiftly?
Yeah, let's whack it on the slab, shall we? The comedy that we're reviewing this week is a newish series, an American series, Netflix series. Called Master of None. It stars Aziz Ansari, who some people will know from Parks and Recreation, a series I really got into. I don't think I ever finished it.
Right.
because it went on for about 13 series and it had about 22 episodes in each series, so it was quite a mammoth thing anyway, but it had a great cast. And there are some connections with this Master of None and Parks and Recreation, which we'll come to a little bit later on.
He, just to interject, to make it look as if I know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
which is, of course, an illusion, he plays Tom Haverford in that series.
In Parks and Rec.
Parks and Recreation.
Do you know, I wouldn't have known that, actually. I wouldn't have known his character. I mean, he wasn't one of the major characters. He's one of the kind of ancillary characters. But yeah, so Aziz Ansari plays a character called Dev, who's a 30-year-old actor. I think, is it fair to say, semi-out-of-work actor? He didn't do much work in episode 1 of series 1, did he? I didn't see much acting going on.
I think in the episode we Slab, which was that one, of course, you're barely aware, I think, that he's an actor at all. I don't remember too many references, if any.
No, unlike, do you remember Game Face, which we reviewed a few episodes of the Slab ago with Roisin Connerty?
Yeah.
And she was an out-of-work actress. But I've been watching the rest of the series, and her acting jobs get worse and worse. And she actually goes to confront her agent, who can't remember who she is, and tries to rehire her.
She plays some kind of monster thing at one point.
She played Shrek. As the series goes on, she's got a job. She plays an old toothless hag in a dungeon somewhere in London on a tour. Where she's trying to tell them about the Black Death, but nobody's interested, and they all just walk off, kind of thing. Yeah, she's.
I wonder if we dug into her CV whether she'd actually worked in the London dungeons, because I know Matt Berry, for one, did, because a mate of mine worked
in real
with
life.
him.
Yeah. Did he?
Yeah.
I've got to tell you, you know, I'm really into kids' TV at the moment.
No, you don't get a choice having two young'uns.
Yeah. But story time. They do a story on CBeebies at about 6:30 or something like that. I think something. But
is that AM or PM?
That is PM. If it's AM, we're all on the Ritalin.
So's your rat on the Ratalin. But it's mouse.
Rattling. He was rattling around under the thing. I tell you. But
that's the sound of the neck.
The bedtime story was read by Matt Berry the other night, and he was fabulous, as you would imagine.
Yeah,
really good.
Was it a surreal tale of daring do?
He do you know, I only caught the last sort of 5 minutes of it, so I don't really know. I thought, I missed this with Matt Berry, and I'd have forced Frank to watch it then, you see. But
well, it's part of his education, isn't it, to get to like Matt Berry?
Exactly, because you're going to see a lot of him. So, son, you better just wise up now and sort yourself out and like comedy. Anyway, so yeah, he plays a 30-year-old actor in New York, and it's just basically following his personal and professional life through the series, from what I can understand. Should we hear a clip and just get acquainted with it? Do you think that would be a good idea at this stage, do you think?
I think it'd be a fantabulous idea, yes.
All right. I mean, the opening scenes of it's Series 1, Episode 1, as I said, that we've slabbed this week. And the opening scenes, we obviously realise that it is Dev and a lady friend in flagrante, I think is the best way to describe it. Oh, they got an eyebrow of approval from Adrian there, I just noticed.
Yeah, actually, momentarily I woke up there at that point.
Yeah.
And we should point out that although you're speaking in code, or because you're speaking in code, it's probably not for the young ones, is it?
No.
Apart from Aid Edmondson, perhaps, but yeah. Parental discretion advised, I think, would be the way to describe it.
It's a bit saucy, and so it's Dev and his lady friend, and they've just met, haven't they? I think you kind of gather, and then they have this big conversation about the condom that they were using break-in, and they got to Google it, don't they? And think, we're going to have to try and figure out whether there's a possibility that she could get pregnant and all the rest of it. Anyway, cut to the chase. They go off to a late night chemist,
taking an Uber X, which I assume is the nearest and cheapest one.
Oh, I'll tell you all about that. I learned all about that in the process. But yeah, you're right. They're taking an Uber to the late night chemist to buy what is described as Plan B.
Hello, me and, this young lady were... Yep, There it is. Thanks. Is that a good brand or?
It's the best and only brand.
Yeah, we'll get one of those. And anything else you get on snacks and stuff? Or
I'm fine.
yeah. Want something to drink from Martinelli's?
Martinelli's?
You never had Martinelli's apple juice? 2 Martinelli's as well. Oh no! Please, I got it. My treat.
With the chrome on the toe, you fucking know that I will let it go.
Sir, do you mind turning the radio off? Thank you.
And so he turns it off. Right. Do you want a headline, my summary of my reaction? Because I've only just been thinking of it somewhat belatedly as that was playing out.
Yeah, I'd love one.
What was that voice?
I was scratching.
Where did that
I was
come
just thinking.
from?
I was just thinking I've got to have a shave. I mean, it's so hairy there, and I just lifted my chin up like that. Oh yeah, I'd love one. I don't know.
Okay. Actually, you've reminded me, looking at you now, new listeners, he's pulling a face. We can see each other, but don't worry that you're missing out. But I have to say, are you following Movember and growing a tash, or you just couldn't be bothered to make any effort before you appeared before me?
I'm a full-time parent now. I don't have time to. I'll shave if I got the time. All right. I must admit, I was going to have a. I don't shave. I only get the old clippers and do the old George Michael designer stubble. Although I look more like George Formby by the time I finish, but it's similar.
You'll be getting your ukulele out later, and no, that's not a euphemism.
Have you seen me? I thought. So I just never. The kids aren't very well at the moment. They both got colds.
Oh.
So it sounds like karaoke night on a respiration ward in our house at the moment. It's a bit rough at the moment. So can I just say to the makers of Calpol, God, I love you.
We should take sponsorship from them, shouldn't we?
Oh, they're amazing. Seriously. I mean, I'd seen on blogs before when Angelina was pregnant, they go, parents going about, oh, it's fantastic Calpol. I mean, it's just basically paracetamol for kids in liquid form.
Basically, it's a sledgehammer in the form of a pill, isn't it?
It's
Knocks them out.
awesome. It is awesome. I mean, I have to say the other good one. They do a Nurofen as well, which is like for kids, Nurofen for kids in a liquid form. That's awesome as well. That's fantastic. But yeah, anyway, so go on your headline. Yes,
Yeah, sounds like you're addicted, as well as the kids. Right. Well, it's called Master of None, as you said last week. Obviously, that's an allusion, one assumes, to Jack of all trades, which is presumably pertinent to Aziz Ansari, who is, and I'm reading from his wiki profile, an American actor, writer, producer, director, and comedian. So he is Jack of all trades.
Yeah, but he wrote
For
that.
me, yeah, well, of course, yes.
Yeah.
I can just see he's edited it this very evening. Jack of all trades, master of none for me. That's a bit harsh, actually, but I don't know. Sorry, it's not a very poetic headline and it's too wide to fit on your average tabloid. But I'm left kind of emotionally flatlining, I'm sorry to say. As with all shows, I think I always start, honestly, with a desire to like it.
Oh, I do.
But I really had no prior convictions. No prior convictions as to what it was going to be like. It was that was an interesting one. I mean, it's a Netflix show, as I think you may have said. Certainly, you mentioned last week. And when the Netflix logo came up, I thought, right, it literally is. Well, no, before that it came up, it literally was a blank screen in my head. No knowledge, no rumours from anyone, no likes, dislikes, no nothing, which might make me slightly unusual, but then I've never professed to be, a specialist in all forms of comedy. And it's nice to come to something fresh, and I genuinely wanted to like it, and I'm just left baffled as to, I'm going to guess it must have found an audience. He must have his fan base, obviously. I'd be interested to go away and YouTube him and look at his stand-up, because that's how he started out in 2000 or so. Mid-2000, it says here, while attending New York University. So it's a New York-based show. I'm very sympathetic to New York. I love it. as you might guess from his name, he's got Asian roots, and there's one or two. Actually, I will give him that. There's not too many references to race. I found a lot of non-white stand-ups spend half their routine, if you're just randomly looking at Live at the Apollo, and there are reasons for this. Not me having a go, but I just want them to fast forward past the bit where they have to be ever so slightly on the back foot about not being white. I get a bit bored with that.
It's a similar thing. I have the same thing with the political stuff, with the Orange Man Bad in America. That's like, you kind of think, oh, look, you've been every which way to Sunday.
What? Sorry?
Orange Man Bad material, about Trump.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
And you kind of think they've been every which way to Sunday about jokes about Trump. Like, just let it go. He won, he got in, he's your president. It's a short-term thing because you get to vote again. Let it go. It's not funny. And the race one. I mean, it's Lenny Henry syndrome, isn't it? I mean, that's what we have in the UK. Is we have Lenny Henry, who and there are other black comics as well who have to use race as most of their material, and it's a shame. It is a shame.
I mean, I understand where it's coming from. In as much as clearly I don't understand their experience, but at least. Not from the inside, but I could appreciate from the outside. It's a massive part of their life and their upbringing and so on. And Lenny Henry being of a certain age, times were, I would say, tougher for him, but tougher even for his.
Let's not forget it's Lenny Henry who appeared on the Black and White Minstrel Show. So he's
but again,
you kind of think,
I don't blame him for that because there weren't many outlets for people of colour.
Because you wouldn't say it the other way around, would you? You wouldn't go, oh well, there weren't many outlets for TV for people to be on, so therefore it was okay. I don't personally.
I don't quite understand what the other way round is. I mean,
if it was a white comedian and said he appeared on the Black and White Minstrel Show, but there weren't many opportunities in the 70s to be on telly for comedians.
But there were loads of opportunities for white people, males, to be on telly. So it doesn't.
Well, I don't think there were, but I think there were the same amount. It's like when you look back at historically and they say, oh, women have never been in the army, and they've done this, and then they unearth a photo of all the women doing stuff in the war, and you kind of think, hang on, I thought that this didn't happen. It's revisionist history, I think, is a big problem with it. But
well, be revisionist to say, okay, in wartime, it's just all hands to the pump, isn't it? And gay people were suddenly acceptable, black people were suddenly acceptable, and then thrown on the heap afterwards. But hey,
I don't agree with that either. I mean, that I don't think it was a racial or a sexual thing, was it? It was all people were thrown on the heap. I mean,
not the generals.
Well, no. So it's a class thing, But yeah.
Well, yeah, that's certainly known.
Anyway,
yes. That being so, and we could park that possibly. No, totally. I couldn't really, despite wanting to, I really tried to. I couldn't engage with it emotionally in the sense that I really was wrapped up in his world, and it was mildly amusing, but I wish to goodness I could put it more strongly than that.
Do you think
I can't.
Did you find that the people were horrible? I found I disliked most everyone. Yeah, the characters in there. I disliked most. I don't think there was anyone I kind of empathised with, let alone liked.
Again, I think it's just this. I come back to the image of flatlining. I almost wanted to have an emotional reaction, even if it was a negative one. Right. It was just this. Oh, this is pleasant. No, I didn't hate anyone, but neither did I like them. I just thought, okay, I don't really understand why you're making this show. What's the driver here? Because it ain't driving me, sadly. It was perfectly competent. It's quite loads of shows I find fall into this category that we put on the old slab of comedy, whereby I have to remind myself how hard everyone's worked and all of that, and it's just, if I had to summarise, it's less than the sum of its parts, sadly.
I'm just having a look at some of the reviews on IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, just to see how wide of the mark, because I kind of feel the same as you do.
So was it? Sorry, just before you do, was it random for you that you just picked this just as a kind of Jeopardy thing for us both to?
Well, no,
see if we like?
I was aware of it, and I was aware of him, and in the back of my mind, I thought from what I'd seen, which in fairness was only kind of like probably one or possibly two different trailers, probably one actually only. I kind of had a feeling that it was something that it would be good, but it was something that I would like to see at some point.
Yeah,
and probably had, like you said. I mean, I always come to these with whether I've chosen them or not. You know, if I've chosen them and not seen them, or you've chosen them, if I'm not aware of what the comedy program is, I always kind of go glass half full, thinking, okay, come on, let's have a look at this. And then, you know, you're absolutely devastated when it turns out and you think, I can't really find anything constructive or positive to say about something. I find it's really quite upsetting as well, really, because, you know, like we always say, a lot of hard work goes into these things. You know, this is somebody's life's work for probably, you know, 2 or 3 years or something, and we're sitting here glibly saying, we didn't like it. But you can only say, you know, how you found it, sort of thing. But yeah, I only chose it because of that. I knew him, I knew his work. I quite liked him in Parks and Recreation. I thought he seemed quite capable, but he only had a smallish part. So, but yeah, I got thoroughly disappointed. Let's have another listen to another clip, shall we? Give people another flavour. In this particular scene, Devaney's friend Arnold, who I gotta say, I detested the character Arnold. I just thought you were just such a horrible, vapid, narcissistic child. How could anyone be your friend, was all I kept thinking. I just thought you were just, and how can you make me feel like that in such a short space of time?
Although, in fairness, that's what you said to me when we first met.
That's what I said to you the last time we met, to be honest with you.
That's what you said this very evening as we hooked up on Skype. No more hookups.
I'm going to stop texting it to you now. I must admit.
It's just copy and paste, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
We're honest. You don't put any new effort into it.
Devaney's friend Arnold go to their friend's house. They're hosting a children's party. Not Devaney's friend. The friends are hosting a children's party. And he bumps into another one of his friends, Amanda, and she's also a parent.
Hey, Amanda, what's up?
Hey, Dev, hi.
Hey, what's up, guys? Lila, what's going on? How are you? I heard you got married recently. How come I didn't get invited to the wedding?
I didn't get married.
That's not what I heard. I heard you have a husband. It was a small ceremony, just family and friends. Fine, whatever, I get it.
I'm not married.
Okay, well, I guess I'll just keep that blender for myself then. Grant, what's up, man?
Farts.
All right, well, that's cool. You want to arm wrestle?
Sure.
All right. Oh God! Oh my arm!
You're so weak.
All right, you guys, why don't you get some snacks?
Yeah.
Ooh, look at the spread.
That's crazy. Grant is like a little dude now.
Yeah, he is, but he can still be a real dick sometimes.
Come on, he's always nice to me.
But that's because you see him for like 5 minutes a month. If you saw him all the time, he would like take a in your shoe or something.
What?
Yeah, Grant took a in my shoe last week. It's his new thing. He calls it poop shoes.
I wasn't on board initially, but poop shoes, that's just good branding.
Yeah. Right now, James is out of town. I got him solo. Ugh, he's a real bear. Hey, do you want to come by for dinner? Nathan's coming over. He's going to bring some sandwiches from Parm.
Well, I'm into that, yeah, for sure.
Well, on the positive side of the balance sheet, it is actually a good through line for the show. It has got a theme. Apparently, I've probably referenced this before, but not for some weeks on the Slab. Winston Churchill once was in a restaurant and told the waiter to take back the pudding because it didn't have a theme. And this show has a theme. I mean, you've talked about where we, as it were, came in. And so it is about, you know, to have children or not to have children. Mm. And I guess, well, that's the other thing. I don't think the show's for me and for my age group particularly. It's the kind of age group where it's a novelty. One of your friends, 2 of them maybe, have got kids, and you're just thinking, shall I, shan't I?
Yeah.
So, you know, that ship has sailed for me. Unless something very bizarre and Charlie Chaplin-esque happens in my dotage. But
what are you looking at me like that for?
It's not going to happen between us, not after what you just texted tonight.
I said that in the maternity ward when one of the midwives looked at me and she said about my age. And I said, well, Charlie Chaplin, I said, was 82 when he became a father. I mean, granted, he hadn't got the energy to pick the kid up, but that was neither here nor there, is it?
No, he's obviously done the deed.
Yeah.
And he would hope they'd at least be catered for financially, given his worldwide status.
Yeah. And there'd be quiet children as well, wouldn't they, being as they're Charlie Chaplin's kids? They'd be silent.
Very good. I thought you meant he'd gone deaf, but
No.
I see what you did there.
Do you know,
and
you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I was going to say you're right
No.
about the age thing and about I don't think it's for our age group at all. But it just made me really dislike that generation and their attitude. Like I say, they were all. It was. I mean, to me, it was very hipster, wasn't it? They were the kind of like the New York hipster scene, and they're just horrible. They're just horrible. I mean, their attitude towards children and why they didn't want children. And I know I'm a parent now, so I look at it differently. And being a parent is not how they described it. I think it was really disingenuous to describe it. There was certainly one guy was having a breakdown and his wife was leaving him and they never have sex and all this sort of stuff. And it was all very cliched, I found. As a parent, but even when I wasn't a parent, and I've said this to you before, I don't like other people's kids. I'm not into. It's not that I love children. I love my children. I'm really disappointed that they're going to have to mix with other people's children because I might have to meet them then. But you adapt, don't you? But it was all that kind of I don't know, the negativity around it and the portrayal of it and the vapidity. I think they were so vapid that how they it was about them. They kind of portrayed themselves as the me generation, and it was a really hard watch.
Though, in fairness, the clip we've just heard, and people who won't have seen the show may not even go on to see the show, shock horror may not even have Netflix subscriptions. I thought the Aziz character, Dev, he at least projected a likeable front to the kids. I thought the idea of a grown-up going to... I see you're shaking your head. I have to explain for our listening audience who have the luxury of not looking at you, as I sadly have to on Skype, with you 170 miles away from me. And I'm assuming there's not too much delay. But I thought that was quite a likeable exchange. A young girl, what was she? Because you'll be better at placing ages. 5-ish? 5? 4,
Yeah,
5?
6, 7, I'd have said.
Yeah, okay. Really, that'll...
And they were so badly behaved, though. I mean, all of the children, they were just monsters,
Saying children are badly behaved, that's tautology, isn't it? It's just like saying they're children.
No, because that's the difference, isn't it? I mean, my son's not even 2 yet, and he'll say thank you if you give him something. And if I tell him to stop doing something, he'll stop doing it. I mean, even if I have to say to him, you've got to now stop that. And you know what I mean? They don't have to be an unruly whirlwind just because they're children. I don't think there's a time and a place for that.
But they weren't so terrible. Cut them some slack. And anyway, before you get too smug, your son is 2. See what he's like at 6. But we'll just park that thought. Or 16.
Well, the day that I sell my stovepipe hat and give up being a Victorian parent, then
I'm forcing him to play with hoops.
You might, you might have something to say. But I'm going to be old-fashioned when it comes to that. Is that I think discipline and ruliness is important. Is ruliness a thing?
Yes, as opposed to unruliness.
Yeah.
Rulelessness.
I'm going to say to you, I want to see more ruliness in this house.
I insist, as your Victorian father, you were seen and not heard, and you were more ruly.
And when he looks at me like that, he goes, "What?" And I'll go, "Look it up on the Steam Google."
And he'll say to you, "Whatevs, Grandad." Yeah. But anyway, we're drifting off my point, which was that it was a very pleasant exchange to a young girl who gets the gag. I heard you were married. I mean, that's the sort of knockabout I like to do. You can shake your head all you like silently for our listeners. It might fall off if you do that. But I don't have kids, but I am lucky to have nieces. And when they were that sort of age, don't do that, George. When they were that sort of age, I do knock about verbally with them, and you can be quite physical with kids at that age, as long as you don't break anything. And as their mother said in the show, if there's large amounts of blood, call me, but not unless. I thought that was a pleasant exchange and a bit of fun, and I think you're being a pooper of a party variety.
It's funny how you saw it. I saw it as like really staged, and kind of going through the motions, really. But then maybe at that point, I'd kind of really got to the acceptance that I wasn't going to like any character that came along. Maybe I don't know. Because I did.
That's confirmation bias, though, isn't it? The old anchoring thing.
Yeah.
You're by then, if you've given up on it, you're looking for reasons not to like him.
Yeah, I think that is a problem. Can I just mention how many people went into making that? Did you see the credits just like went on and on and on, and it was only at the point where I realised. I went and the second time when I watched it, and I thought they've even put in the credits who did the breakfast catering. That's why there's so many people in the credits. Who credits in this country breakfast catering by?
Not for TV, but you do it on a movie, yeah.
It looked very movie.
Absolutely everyone on a movie. Yeah.
And did you notice they all had an assistant? It was like one of them said, "Oh, I've got an assistant," and then the next day they all had an assistant.
Yeah, the little one said roll over, so they all rolled over and one fell out.
Yeah.
While you mention that, sorry, I'll take a deep breath to similarly list all the production credits. We're obliged legally to do this anyway, but it's interesting. It tells a story in its own right, I think. So that show was made by Alan Yang Pictures, O Brother Productions, Fremulon, 3 Arts Entertainment, Universal Television, which, as we all know, is a division of NBC Universal, brought to you by Netflix. So that in itself is quite a list, isn't it?
I think O Brother Productions, I think is
that him?
His production company, and Ansari's production company, I think.
Sorry, while we're on this, is there any US equivalent of Company's House, which I know you slavishly adhere to if it's a UK production, which it isn't?
I just nosy, that's all. It's a great source of information. I don't know, actually. I must have a look. Nearly this week, I nearly actually typed in US equivalent of Company's House, oddly enough. So it's almost like
the kind of guy you are.
You've got a nanny cam. I tell you the other thing as well. I struggled with was and maybe this is what it's like for American people to watch an episode of On the Buses. Is some of they kept on bounce house when the
and then I realised halfway through, it took me a long time because I'm a bit slow and a bit tired. That's a bouncy castle, isn't it?
Yes. For goodness sake, George, it's a bouncy castle.
Well, surely in Surrey they'd say a bounce house.
The bounce house, yeah. There were one or two other things I think they mentioned, and I don't know whether people would get it. I don't know how would it translate, but Saran wrap, the big thing.
What's that?
Which is cling film in this country.
Oh. No, I didn't. When was that mentioned?
Oh dear. It was. I think it was about wrapping a body part in Saran wrap or something. I think was some reference to. I cannot remember now. I think it was. I cannot remember, Captain. But yeah, and I just thought, I just want. I don't know if I've told you this story. It's one of my go-to standards. But one of the first or second times I went to the United States, and I was in a diner with Angelina, and it was really hot. So it could have been Florida, somewhere like that. I don't know. And I said, she said, "Can I get anything else?" And I said, "Oh yeah, can I have a jug of water?" And she went, "What?" I said, "A jug of water." A what of water? A jug. Like a jug, like a big container. Jug of...
Was she waiting for, not carafe?
Pitcher.
What would it be? Pitcher, oh yeah.
She said, "Oh, you mean a pitcher?"
Picture the scene.
And I'm thinking, are you taking the mick out of me? Or, I've had this another time, was ordering, and I ordered a dessert, and I ordered a banana something. So I said, "Can I have a banana, whatever it was?" And she said, "Sorry?" And I said, "Can I have a banana?" And she's, what? So I said, and I felt such a fool because I had to go, "Banana?" And she went, "Oh yeah, okay." And I'm thinking,
you say banana,
really?
she says banana.
take a leap of faith. Work with me here on this.
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Just use a little imagination because we have to make the effort for you, don't we?
Yeah, but I kind of felt like it was the equivalent of an American trying to watch EastEnders, maybe, or something. And they're thinking, why are they talking about apples and pears? So I don't know. So maybe it's an issue. Anyway, final clip because we're fast.
Oh yeah.
Fast approaching our deadline, our curfew, and.
Yes, and I'm falling asleep.
Our ankle bracelets to go off. Final clip then. After what is it? Did he do about an hour in the end? Babysitting, I think he was babysitting those two kids.
Oh yeah, a notional hour, yes, which of course felt like weeks. He aged years.
It took years off him. Anyway, Dev's waiting back at Amanda's house. She's these fantastic sandwiches are coming back with her. So anyway, she arrives home.
Guess who's home? Mommy! Hey, Nathan's coming with the sandwiches.
Oh,
hey,
great.
Penguin. How did it go?
Oh my God. They felt like 10 years. Anytime I turned around, they were just causing mayhem.
I'm sure you did fine. I didn't see any blood, so that's good.
Hey, I got sandwiches. Hi,
Yay.
how's it going? You guys hungry?
Yeah.
Oh,
Here, give me
go.
those.
There you go.
And I'll go get the beer.
Okay.
And you guys, come with me.
What's happening? You okay?
I just watched Grant and Lila for a couple hours. Jesus, it was so crazy. They're just like running around and screaming and yelling, causing a ruckus.
That's rough, man. That's why I enjoy being the uncle, Like, because you just show up, you hug them, you kiss them, you play with them, you make a mess, and then when they start getting gross and being dicks, you're like, I'm out of here. And you leave.
Yeah, I get why you and Kate don't have kids.
Yeah, it can definitely be very nice. We have a lot of time to ourselves.
Are you guys doing anything fun for the summer?
Yeah, we are going to Italy. We rented a villa in the Amalfi Coast.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, you know what Amanda and James are doing this summer? They're taking a trip to Costco. Yeah, to buy a bunch of grape juice and diapers or whatever they have to buy.
Well, I mean, he says oh God, what's that character's name again? Who talks about being an uncle? Sorry, I forgot. Is it Arnold?
No, Arnold's the other one, the one that I can't bear.
No, yeah. Well, you can't bear any of them, so that doesn't really distinguish.
No, that
them.
is true. Yeah, in fairness,
and they do look vaguely similar, aren't they? Hirsute and full-figured.
Yes, yeah, fat and hairy.
You may say that. I couldn't possibly comment. The one who does play Arnold earlier in the show, who likes his Beintsheis. Is he in the very first show we slabbed, the Silicon Valley?
No.
Is that him or just a looky-likey?
Yeah. He was actually the second choice for the casting of that. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
I'm not sure who it was. I can't remember the guy's name now that was supposed to be cast, but he died of a heroin overdose. And this guy stepped in at the last minute to play Arnold, I think.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's all a bit surreal, isn't it? It's so disingenuous, though. As I say, this idea that if you can't go anywhere because you've got children, that's down to you, brother. You know what I mean? That's your choice. That's up to you. All I can say, Frank's 2 in December, and he's been to Dubai twice. He's been to France. He's been to Spain twice.
Well, you're obviously minted, but I don't resent you for that.
No, we get the coupons out of the Sun newspaper. But do you know what I mean? Is that if you don't, Annie on the other hand, we just leave it at home and just call social services and say she's been left on her own. But no, if you
pretend you're a neighbour.
My point is, you don't know me, but
those rotters at number 23.
You've all got smashing blouses on.
It's funny you live next door to Rick Mail, who's deceased.
But yeah, my point is that if your life stops because you've got kids, then that is you. That isn't your kids. That isn't the fact that you've got kids. Is my view anyway.
It's the other way around for me. My life stopped because I haven't got kids.
Right.
But it's all right. Don't feel sorry for me. Just because I'll die alone in a heap of washing up.
I'll send you one for the summer holidays. See how you like it.
Only for an hour. I can probably cope with that.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, there was the comedy of recognition. I know it's giving kids and parenthood and all of that a bad rap, but I did actually look after my aforementioned well, I didn't say it. It's three nieces that my sister's bestowed on me. I don't think she did it for me, to be honest. But anyway, I've only ever cared for them continuously in one 24-hour period, and that did age me by 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, all the things, as a bad uncle, as I clearly am, well, not a bad uncle, but a rotten parent I might have been, potentially.
It is different when you're your own, though. It's a different set of rules. It is completely different.
But even imagining what it might be like for a second period of 24 hours, I know what you're saying, but man.
I have days like when they've been ill today, and like my daughter, who's 6 months old, has been screaming, and I mean screaming, because she's she's that uncomfortable, and you're trying everything that you can to console her, and you're picking her up and you're carrying her around and you're talking to her, and you can't reason with her, you can't even ask her what's wrong with her, she can't even tell you, and that all that is kind of exhausting as well. But it's about, it just portrays parenthood as the idea of being a good parent to me. It isn't about indulging children, is it? It isn't. I was mindful of that David Sedaris said in one of his books, and he said, talking about his childhood, and he said there were no pictures on the fridge in our house. He said, because our parents recognised our artworks for what they were, rubbish. and he said they didn't live in our house. Our parents didn't live in our house. We lived in their house. We were children living in an adult's house, and I think that's it's all about indulgence, and that's where you get it wrong. That's where it is so. But I just came away just with a really, I don't know. It was just, it had a really, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. There was a scene where the kids had drawn a picture, and they'd drawn Aziz Ansari, and they coloured him in brown.
And he said a bit racist.
And he went, a little racist. I thought, why is that? How is that racist? How is that racist? Because you're gonna have a whole generation of people who think that if you colour somebody a colour, that they're racist, and that is just unacceptable.
I thought the joke was not that they coloured it. I thought it was the pose that just didn't look very flattering. I don't know. Maybe I've missed the gag.
He does. I mean, his stand-up. I did go and have a look at his stand-up, and it is about, oh, you white people. I love watching white people. Oh, white people, this white people. And I'm thinking, that's not acceptable. Racism is not a one-way street, and it is. And then in his act, he's then going, oh, I hate the Eastern European woman who's at the border patrol. Why are you doing that? And started doing an impression of it. And I thought, why is that acceptable? And yet, if a white comedian did a similar thing, they'd be called out on it. It's just not good enough, and I think it's lazy and it's wrong. And there'd be a whole generation of confused people who think that they're racist and be beating themselves up, and they're not. I think it's awful. I really do.
I think it's complicated because you have to look at the context, but. And also, if he wants a living, he's got to get booked. So end up.
Sorry, I'm not asking you to justify it. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying that's how I feel. I just feel it is so wrong, and it is so distorted. And if you think that you're going to correct, years of whatever happened to other people by victimising a whole new group of people, then that is not the way forward. And I don't think that's right. And I think if there's a rule for one, it should be applied to everybody, and it should be applied equally, and it should be applied fairly. That's just how I feel, Adrian. Like I say,
it's fine. You've got to say it.
You're not saying anything otherwise. I'm not asking you to justify.
No. I don't actually feel that. I wanted to present a different view, but the thing is, my view is it's complicated, and I think the environment, say for stand-up comics of colour in this country, I think is a bit healthier, which is why I feel, because I understand UK culture, not surprisingly, having lived here all that time, better than I do American culture. I mean, you go to New York, for instance, and you think, oh, marvelous melting pot. Well, even that is a complicated term, or for some people, yeah, it's slightly weighted term. But I remember doing the tour on the Circle Line, which is not the Underground in New York, but as you may know, because I'm sure you've been there, that's actually on a ferry that goes around Manhattan Island. And the guy was pointing out, oh, that's the Jewish hospital there. Oh, that's the Hispanic hospital over there. And you think, okay, it's a melting pot, but it's not really melted that much, has it? You're in your tribes very much. And I'd have to say, and here I will quote Barry Manilow's backing singers quite happily and shamelessly.
Bermuda Triangle.
I won't see your angle, frankly, not from there. Put your clothes back on. Oh, no, that was last week's joke. But they happened to be, I think all his backing singers were black, and they just commented. It was just a nice moment, I thought, just take the praise, because I'm a proud Londoner, as you know, or as you call me, a London lovey or whatever term you want to throw at me, which is all fair game. They just said, they really liked the environment in London and the way, I'm not remembering it very well, it was some years ago, but words to the effect, things are so much more relaxed here. And I was going to use the term mixed up, but I mean that in a nice way, because
I don't know which London I went to. Perhaps because stabbing is quieter than shooting, I suppose. Is probably, I don't know.
If you want to go down that route, we can throw stats at each other. But yes, look, it's not good. I'm not here to justify stabbing. And anyway, this was some years before the increase therein.
They said they absolutely loved it. They said they didn't see any trouble, whether it be in the foyer of the Dorchester or in their suite. It was fine.
Well, I'm just going to leave that
Come
there.
on. Let's put some scores on the doors, Gloria.
Yeah, let's do it. Our listeners are too sophisticated to be drawn in by such low blows. Or maybe not. My score, it has to be straight down the middle, 2.5. As we've said, everyone worked hard. It was competent. But competent for me is a mixed metaphor or a description, which is it's got a bit of a sting in the tail, because competent means it didn't fire me up, but, they did the job.
I'll give it a 1. Yeah.
That bad, eh?
Yeah, I came away not wanting to watch another episode. I just really, really couldn't. I just, on all fronts, I couldn't just get to grips with it at all. And I came away, as I say, thinking of all the characters, there wasn't one. I couldn't even say, well, there's one, but well, they made it for me. Really disappointed, so saddened. And do you know what? We're not in the minority here, strangely enough, because I was saying I was just having a quick look on the Internet Movie Database. And I'll just read some of the headlines. There's one that says, "I'm Asian and I hate it." Another one's put, "That's it?" ? Most overrated garbage show in the known universe, which I think possibly
yes, most overwrought review in the known universe, possibly.
Little bit of ironic hyperbole there. Gone the political wayside, too bad. Never go full hipster, which is another comment, and acting is very bad.
Just never go full. Is that a reference to not having a beard?
Full hipster. Well, yeah, I think so, because I got the hipster vibe off it. I must admit, I kind of felt that. But anyway, come on. Sorry,
you haven't silenced your bleeping device.
Do you know I've got so many devices? That was my iPad this time. I've turned the phone down, and the iPad's
it's amateurish, frankly, amateurish.
I wouldn't mind.
I'll give you 1 out of 5.
It's only a notification from my Dream League soccer game to say that all my players are fit and are ready to play. I mean, it's not even anything important. Do you know what I mean? But there you go.
I barely know what that means. Is that like doing a crossword on an iPad?
All right, Grandad. So homework for next week then, sweetie.
Homework for next week. Well, I said there was a bit of intrigue, or tried to build up some intrigue, and I am intrigued because this is a request from someone who's got a wonderful name. Sounds like they should be in either an airport novel embossed on the front cover, or maybe one of those lavish 1980s American soaps. His name is Blair Carlton. Tell me, that's not one of your nom de plumes, is it, young Shane?
No.
Okay, that's good. Is it anyone that you know from, because I know you've got thousands of followers from your Coventry days in Steam Radio.
And Derby as well. Don't forget Derby. I've got a lot of friends in Derby.
Don't forget Derby. You don't let me forget Derby. That's where we met, darling.
One or two in Birmingham as well.
I think it's two.
No, I don't know the name. No.
Right. Well, in which case it's a genuine fan by all accounts. Or at least I'm going to believe that. Says Blair via tweet at Comedy Slab, which handily is me promoting our Twitter handle. Hello, chaps. Massive fan of your entertaining podcast. So, of course, I'm in from the first sentence.
He's hooked us. We're hooked, aren't we? That's it.
We're hooked. That's it.
We're a massive fan of Blair.
You can have
it,
whatever you want, Blair.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have loads of ideas for potential slab victims. I like that. I hadn't spotted that before. But perhaps, you see, he's got our kind of wit, acerbic wit. That's why I thought it was probably you under a different name. But perhaps, he says, consider Ed Reardon's Week. It's a top Radio 4 comedy, he says, in brackets, which I'm sure you're aware of. Yeah. Ending on a preposition will look the other way on this occasion. But yes, it is a comedy of which we are aware. It's Radio 4, for goodness sakes, Blair. Mind your P's and Q's. But anyway, I'd love to hear your views on this one. He concludes, thanks both. Well, he has assumed we're going to do it, and we jolly well are, because I think I said... Did I say, or am I imagining I said a few weeks ago? Did I mention Ed Reardon?
I think you did. Do you know I've dabbled in?
Have you? I hope you cleared up afterwards.
I've not. I've dabbled.
I thought you meant dribbled.
I've now put the cream on, and it's a lot better now. Stop dabbling.
I just dribbled saying.
I don't think I've listened to a whole episode, so it'll almost be like coming to it fresh. Although I know enough to know kind of Ed Reardon and know that he's a writer, so that's about it for me. But yeah, no, that'd be. You did mention it a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure you did.
Right. Yeah, I did. So that's a happy coincidence. But there is a catch, which is that as we speak, the one I'm going to recommend, I'm recommending it because literally the last one currently on, I nearly said iPlayer, wash out my mouth, BBC Sounds. So certainly for people in the UK listening via that app and also streaming. And hopefully you can get this outside the UK on bbc.com. But don't hang around for our view of it, and that applies to you, dear Blair, and to anyone else, because as I speak, by the time you hear this, the first opportunity to hear this, there will only literally be a few days left to listen. It's Shane's favourite talking point about his beloved BBC, and of course, when this happens, I share his concern and frustration that we can't have indefinite windows as Netflix do, or et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, so don't hang around. You'll like the title of the show. The episode is called The Fourth Sausage. Made me think of you as well, Shane, because it's a term of endearment we share with each other, strictly between ourselves up until now. It's Series 11, so this is something that's been repeated. It's actually dates from 2016.
Wow, is it on Series 11 already? Good grief.
Well, it's on. Actually, it's up to Series 13 now, but that we've missed that window. Yeah, that window ship has sailed.
So 11. What episode?
Series 11. It's the very last one. Episode 6 of 6 in that series. The Fourth Sausage. That's The Fourth Sausage. Ed Reardon's Week.
All right, whatever you do, don't break the fourth sausage, and that's it for us. I just remains for us to say that don't forget you can catch us on social media, as Adrian said. You can get us on Twitter and on Facebook at Comedy Slab. All one word is our handle, as I think as the kids say.
I believe the youth of today, who you are bringing into the world, so the rest of us don't have to and can be lazy uncles or aunts or whatever. Do subscribe to us, is what I'm trying to say. We're kind of rooted at what's it called? Slabcast. No, that's us. Spreaker, that's the one. I knew it was misspelt. Basically, misspell anything that has something to do with radio or loudspeakers or something. We are there. You can also catch us and indeed subscribe via Shane's channel, I think, on YouTube. It's a bit like a reworking, a 21st century version of those lava lamps from the 1970s, if you're of a certain age. There's a gentle sort of waft of something I don't know. It could be Shane out of focus in the background.
I had a mate who thought that he misheard and thought they were lager lamps and tried to drink one once. That was an interesting week in casualty.
I bet it was, which is a fine show, of course. I worked on Series 1. But now he's got globules. But, you can't often say that and get away with it. That'll learn him. On which dubious note, we will take our leave of you. Oh, do recommend us to all and sundry. And thank you, Blair, for getting in touch. And you, of course, like Blair, can suggest other shows we might want to put on this slab of comedy.